In this short video, I'm going to explain how to draw trend lines. Trend lines are key to understanding how new impulses can become an imbalance if they accomplish something. So the first thing we're going to see is that in order to connect a trend line, we need to connect always the latest two consecutive valleys or peaks, always the latest two, never the latest 3 or 4, always the latest two. And we should never use continuation patterns unless there is overextension or three consecutive continuation patterns. So let's take a look at the charts and do some trend lines. Okay, so I'm going to use like a forex cross pair, then a stock, a few examples and all that. So we will start always from current price. So we need to locate the latest bullish and bearish impulses and connect the latest two with the trend line. So here we look left, we have a rally based drop. That's a peak. That's peak number one. And if we look here to the left, we've got also a rally based drop, and here another one. So we have like one here, another one there, and this one is also pretty obvious. So we have 2, 3, 4 peaks. So the latest two would be something like that. If this price action wouldn't have existed here, like there, okay, we would have said, okay, this is a peak, but it didn't make a lower low, so we would connect something like this, and that wouldn't be right. Why? Because in order to draw a bearish or bullish trend line, we need a peak that establishes a low, and then we need another peak that makes a lower low than this, a lower high than this high, and then it drops lower and creates a lower low. So we need 2 consecutive peaks printing lower lows than the previous peaks, and that way we would connect the trend line like that. We would end up with a tilted M, and for bullish trend line we would need a tilted W. So here we have a peak, establishes a low, but there is no lower low, so we cannot connect that trend line. That's incorrect. So that trend line wouldn't be valid. If I continue to go back in time, okay, here we've got a peak, here we've got a valley, a drop, rally. So here we have a valley, this is a V. And if we go left, we cannot use this because this is a higher low than this low. So we need to keep on going to this price action here because this is a drop based rally. So we've got one over there and another one over there. So that would allow us to draw the trend line like that. This is a peak, and the previous peak is, a valley, and the previous valley would be right down there. So if we take a look at this price action over there, this is a peak that establishes a low, and this is a rally drop that establishes another low. So we get that figure like that, okay? Tilted M. So we would end up connecting the trend line like that without cutting through candles. We cannot do like this. We cannot cut through the candles, okay? At some moment, we are going to cut through the candles, obviously, because otherwise the trend line would never be broken. But we cannot cut through candles that are forming the peaks or the valleys. Okay, so that would be the one. So once the lower low is established here, then we go back in time, look at this, and we get another peak, and the trend line would need to be adjusted to something like that. Why like that and not like this? Because this is a lower high, so we cannot draw a trend line like this. The trend lines always, the bearish trend lines have to have that kind of angle, never a bullish angle. Okay, so here we've got a drop based drop. We will never use a pause, a CP, continuation pattern. We cannot draw the trend line like this. That is incorrect. We need to use peaks, always peaks or valleys. That will be the trend line. Okay, so let's take a look, I don't know, at the weekly or the monthly time frame. Okay, Let's go to the monthly time frame. So we've got this price action. This is current price action. This is not a valley. You could say, okay, this is a rally, drop, close a little bit, and then rally. That is not a rally. This is just potentially a peak, but it's not a peak right now. It is not a pause or a CP because it hasn't broken out, creating an ERC like this one here. So here we've got a drop based rally. That's a valley. And we go back and left. This is nothing, nothing, nothing. We stop when we see another formation. This is another valley. So the trend line would end up being something like that. That's the trend line. Okay. We zoom out a little bit and then let's examine this price action over here. So we've got here a high. We've got this tool on TradingView where we can stick. Okay. Price action like that. So it tells us that line tells us this is made like 10.5 points above the high. So this is a valley. This is the low. This is the high. That's the first V. We go back in time here. This is a drop based rally that establishes a high, and we had a high right there. So we could connect a trend line something like that. If this hadn't existed there, we would have that valley and then another valley right on the left, because this one on the left has a drop base rally. We've got two V shapes connected, tilted. That would be the trend line. Then you could say, okay, we're going to connect this one. Okay. That is invalid. Why? Because we've got a valley that establishes a high and we need another valley that prints a higher high, and that didn't happen. It happened right there. And we need to connect the latest two valleys. We cannot connect the trend line like this. Okay, because it's cutting through these candles, and this is not this. This is the first valley, this is the second, but we have a third, and we need to connect the latest two. So this would be the trend line, not the one that I drew before. That will be incorrect. So we cannot use this to draw a trend line like that. This is a CP. We cannot draw the trend line like this. Okay. The next trend line here will be something like this peak here and this one over there, because it's a rally base drop. Okay. Let's use another one. Let's go, I don't know, famous one, important, Facebook, for example. We go to Facebook. So this is Facebook's monthly time frame. Let's go to the weekly first. 1 week. We go to the weekly, but I can go first. So we'll go to this. Okay. This is the weekly. So on the weekly, this is the price action that we have. So we start from current price action. So we have here drop base rally. We have that first valley, and then here we've got another drop base rally. So we end up creating or drawing the trend line like this. A horizontal line like this, if we could have that trend line drawn like that, would be useless. We need an inclination. Okay, so here you could say, okay, I'm going to connect this one with this one, but that's wrong. Why? Because this is not a valley. That's a basing structure. This is unclear. If it is unclear, it's a CP. So no way, we cannot connect that trend line. But this little guy over here is a drop based rally, and this one as well. So the trend line would end up like that on the weekly. Okay. So if we continue farther to the left, this is a valley here, and this is another valley. And you could say this is another valley. Nope, that is not a valley. That's a pause, a CP. We cannot connect the trend line like this. The trend line would be connecting the latest two valleys, and those are like there. V shape, this is a high, drops, it makes a higher low, and then it rallies and makes a higher high. So we end up having the famous tilted W to connect to valleys. Okay, and that's how it was. Ignore price action that is unclear. Those are CPs are explained in another lesson. This is not a valley. This is a valley, almost a little bit unclear, but that is, as you can see, close underneath. Okay, this one not. So And if we take a look, let's take a look at another stock, like, I don't know, let's take a look at Netflix. We're going to do the same thing, and we're going to do it on the, let's say, on the monthly time frame, which is here. Okay, so this is a little bit tricky over there. Okay, because we have data price action that is a valley. Okay, it is a valley. Let me clean this. So this is a drop based rally. It prints a high. So we've got our first V. Here we've got a rally based rally. That's a CP. So we cannot connect the trailing like this. That's incorrect. Okay. Then we've got a rally based rally with a high wave candle here. That's also a very wide CP. You could be tempted to doing that. Okay. Drawing the trend line like this. Okay. Then you would end up with a supply level over there. But at all-time highs, you don't really need that trend lines. So here we've got another valley that establishes the high here. It drops, then it rallies and prints a high right there. So we would draw the trend line connecting these two over here. Okay. Remember, we cannot cut through candles. So if we wanted to draw a trend line like this and connect that valley up at the top, it would be incorrect because we cannot cut through the candles in a valley. You would have to ignore this trend line. Okay, so that will be on the monthly. Okay, and let's do it on the quarterly as well. So we've got the high over there. We go back and left. We look at it. This is a drop rally. So that's our first valley, and then we've got another one over there. So we've got a valley that establishes this high, then we've got another valley that has a higher low, so we've got another V shape. We end up with two valleys. In this case here, we've got a CP, another CP, another CP. We cannot use the trend line to draw those. This is the clear and obvious valley. And that's what you need to do. You need to draw the latest, or to connect the latest two valleys or peaks. Always the latest two. Used for a bullish trend line, you start from the top and go back in time until you locate the first and the second. And for a bearish trend line, we take a look at the weekly here. This is a CP. We cannot connect a trend line like this. So we have to continue higher. And this is a clear peak, rally-based drop. So we go back to the left and we've got another. So the trend line would end up being something like there, not this one. Incorrect. That gives us no information at all. So that would be the trend line, because these valley drops makes a lower low. So that's the first V, inverted V. It rallies, bases and drops, and it prints a lower low here. Since this is a pause or CP, the peak should be at the top and the trend line will be connected like that. Okay? And that's really everything. You need to practice a lot, thousands and thousands of times. There is no other way to learn how to connect these trend lines this way. We need to connect the trend lines this way, because otherwise we will not be able to apply the realignment rules, which is the core rule to locate a potential setup using multiple time frame analysis. And that's everything for this video. Remember, you need to practice and focus on the very, very clear valleys and peaks, and never ever use continuation patterns to draw a trend line. Thanks a lot.